Good morning.
Morning.
Today we're talking about three steps that you can undertake to increase your leadership resilience. So today we're talking about resilience, we're talking about energy. Very exciting topics that I don't really talk about all that much externally.
Mhm.
So out in the public, but it's something that we talk about a lot with our clients internally. So I'm really excited to talk about that topic today. Very top of mind for me personally. I'm on a personal journey to improve my resilience, and it has been important for a lot of my clients this spring. So if you know me if we haven't had the chance to meet yet, I'm just going to introduce myself quickly. My name's Melissa. I'm an executive coach and a management consultant. And what that means is I work with leaders such as yourself to build up their influence, to improve their communication so they can be more effective. And I help them build high performing teams that are more self managed, that are taking ownership and responsibility for their work so that leaders like you can take their time back and invest them in the high payoff activities that are important that only you can do. And so Kelsey Ann is joining me. Kelsey Ann is part of my team. So Kelsey Ann, would you share a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name is Kelsey Ann, and I'm your marketing director. And I am one of your employees, but I would say that more like we have a relationship that's more like a partner versus boss employee. And what you and your clients focus on, we practice or in the day to day. We talk about emotions. We dig into the nitty gritty and get through some difficult questions, but we do it.
Yeah. So we walk the talk, and Kelsey Ann brings that employee perspective to the conversation, which is why I love having her on. One, it's a lot more fun to have more of a conversational approach to these topics and explore them together. So let's talk about energy. So when I do an assessment with a client, I'm measuring their EQ leadership profile, and we're measuring competencies, and we're also measuring outcomes. And one of those outcomes is well-being, and really well-being is about energy. It's about being able to maintain optimal energy so that you can show up. So let's talk about that, because we often, when we're thinking about leadership effectiveness, we don't really think about energy. So why is this important? Why is that part of the assessment, one? And why is that conversation important? So I'm going to throw that to you, Kelsey. And if you're thinking about like being an employee and having a manager, a leader of any kind, why do you think energy would be important here?
Because energy is contagious,
It's contagious. Yeah.
right? So I've definitely been in spaces where the manager didn't want to be there, and that was contagious, right? You felt the ick because they just didn't want to be there. And then on the other side, I've felt managers and leaders that wanted to be there, and you could feel that they were excited, that that they they were happy they were there, but they were happy that I was there too with them on their team, moving pieces forward. And that to me totally affected how I showed up at work.
Yeah. And so your energy and the energy that you have as you're showing up for people is being received and reciprocated. People feel different. It impacts the climate, and how people feel here impacts their performance. So when we as leaders, and we work really hard, like let's not minimize that. Leadership is difficult.
Mhm.
We like to glorify it on social media. We like to talk about it like it's this beautiful, shiny thing. It is hard work. It is putting everyone ahead of your needs. It is making those decisions every day that will never please everyone. You're making hard, very critical decisions. You're getting pushed and pulled from every direction. You're responsible for yourself. You're also responsible for everyone else and their performance. So when they're not performing well, that's reflecting on you.
Mm.
You're answering for a lot of things. And you often get to play the bad guy, which doesn't feel very good. And when there is a win, you take nothing, right? You give it all away to your team. So it's really hard. It takes a lot of grit. It takes a lot of willpower. And so when I measure, so going back to those assessments, when I'm measuring competencies, there's one competency that's called intrinsic motivation, and it's high. Like you don't get to be where you're at without having that intrinsic motivation. That is your willpower, your grit, your ability to show up and do the hard things, to work through. But what happens is we get stuck. We overuse and over rely on that intrinsic motivation and that grit, and we get stuck on overdrive. And it is very easy to do that. I'm sure if you're listening right now and you feel me and this resonates with you, say, yes, this resonates with me. Because I'm talking not only from my client's experience, I'm talking from my own experience. And that is still something that I struggle with today. And Kelsey, and you've been a witness to that. And we are very, very transparent on our team. We do talk about how we feel and our struggles and our levels of energy. So on your side, what are you seeing happening? And this, ladies and gentlemen, we do not rehearse these conversations. No. So we're about to get truly like transparent and honest on a public forum. So be gentle.
I think one of the things that I've noticed is as your anxiety level goes up, your voice speeds up. So I can tell by how panicked you are based on your voice. So that is like a telltale sign when I get these as well as when they're coming in, because I know if it's in the middle of the night or if it's in the morning or whenever it is. Sometimes you just have to get it out of your head, but I know that that's top of mind. So it makes me cognizant of, oh my goodness, these are the thoughts that she's having, when she should be sleeping, when she should be, and I'm not trying to shit all over you either, but for that resilience that you need to be able to show up for myself and our other team members, as well as your clients, you need your sleep, you need your off time. So that's one thing that I've noticed as an employee for sure.
Yeah. So as stress increases, the getting stuck on overdrive is super easy. And it's hard when your body is full of cortisol to calm it down. And if it's been happening over and over again, so now you have a new pattern, your brain is practicing that pattern, your body's practicing that pattern, the behavior, that the anxiety behavior and the panicking behavior and the overthinking behavior, these, they're part of behavior as well. You're practicing this pattern and you're doing it more and more, and it's easier to get stuck in them. And then as the cortisol, which is a chemical flooding your body, and being present in your body, becomes harder. So you even have a physiological response to all of this that makes it harder to get off of the, the crazy train or the crazy bus. What do you think about that?
I think I agree. It makes complete sense. And um yeah.
Yeah. And as you're pouring, we can talk about pouring from an empty cup. We can also look at it like a bank account.
Hmm.
So if you are running on empty and you're borrowing, you're in debt, you're borrowing on your line of credit, you've taken out a mortgage on your body, you're maxing out your credit cards, at some point, you're not even going to be at zero. You're going to be at minus $100,000 or
Right.
100,000 points of energy.
Yeah.
And then where are you?
Yeah. You're in the hole.
You're in the hole and you
You're
are.
burnt out. Burnt toast. Yeah, you're burnt toast.
Yeah. And the other thing that to be cognizant of is, and I'm not going to say the answer, I'm going to throw it back to you. When you see me, when you're witnessing the stress, and when
Mhm.
you're witnessing the tone and the stress in my voice and me messaging at odd times of day and
Yeah,
all of that, what happens to you internally?
I get stressed.
Mhm. And
It
then
it transfers. And then I tend to get stuck.
so
It
it's
builds up
impacting
resistance for me.
you, it's impacting your performance. And what we end up doing is creating unintentionally this culture of burnout. Grit is a beautiful thing. I have nothing against grit. We need it.
Yeah.
Overusing it and not having other things in place to support us is the problem.
Mhm.
And so if we don't want to burn out, we don't want to burn out our team, this is something to consider.
Agreed.
So as we think about motivation and as we think about drive, I'm going to go back to that EQ report that I pull for my clients. There's 3 competencies that form drive that I look at. We just talked about intrinsic motivation. There's also optimism and there's also purpose. So there are 3 really important competencies. And I have somebody at my door that I need to open the door for. Real life, guys. Well, Cian, I'm going to leave that in your hands for a moment. I will be.
Yes.
So, challenge for you, Kelsey, and you
Yeah.
know about these 3 competencies.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about purpose?
Oh goodness. Purpose. Um Purpose is something bigger than what we can accomplish in a lifetime. So it's something that we're working towards, but usually something that is so big we won't be able to actually bring it to fruition. But it's something that we work towards, um, and we feel a sense of not association, but attachment to making that a reality. So whether or not I know you were listening to me. I apologize for the stuffiness.
It's all good. It's all good. I couldn't hear you because I had to
Right,
help a lady out at the door here.
right.
Um, so purpose.
Mhm. So I was just saying that it's something that we're trying to achieve, but that it's bigger than what we can actually achieve in our lifetime.
Absolutely. And purpose encompasses others and ourselves. And it's about having an impact.
Mhm.
And so when you think of your purpose, how does that feel?
Feels good.
Mhm. Does it feel motivating?
Mhm.
How does it affect your energy?
when I'm doing what I believe I'm kind of put here to do, it feels good. When I'm doing stuff that doesn't feel so good and that it doesn't, that comes like, it's hard to do, then it doesn't feel good.
Yeah. So now think about grit and think about goals and think about like your get up and go
Hmm.
and think about that energy. Can you feel the difference?
Mm.
How would you describe that difference? And this is not an easy question,
Yeah.
guys. This is not an easy question.
Um, I think it's more or less about there's like with any role, there are things that we love to do and things that we don't like to do. So it's like, okay, got to kind of dig your heels in, get the stuff that you don't like to get done, and then okay, now at least more time to do the things that you really enjoy to do. So
Mhm.
it's like kind of tricking yourself or rewarding yourself, do this, and then you get to do the stuff. At least that's the way that
Yeah.
I try.
And with the intrinsic motivation, with the grit, the goals, there's a feeling of accomplishment.
Hmm.
And with purpose, there's almost like more of a feeling of like satisfaction.
Yeah.
And sometimes when I measure quality of life, I see a big difference between the level of achievement, the sense of achievement, and the sense of satisfaction. And sometimes it's really skewed. Like we feel achieved and like super not satisfied.
Right.
Mhm. Not a good place to be.
No.
And we think that achieving is satisfaction.
Hmm.
Sometimes, yes, not all the time.
Yeah.
So, to me, when I think about purpose, it feels like an uplifting. It feels easy. It feels exciting. And when I think about my intrinsic motivation, it feels more like a let's get it done. Let's, that like crush it, slay it, and all of these words that we use in our
Yeah.
society is really pointing towards that intrinsic motivation.
Yeah.
So today, what I was hoping is to introduce you to these two pieces.
Hmm.
Now, we're not going to touch optimism today, but I just want you to think about having these two pieces in play. And sometimes if you feel like you're burning out, it's time to bring in that purpose. So the first step I talked about, we're going to cover 3 steps. I really wanted to like anchor these concepts down for you and get you a sense of what they feel like, what they could be like in your life before I went into those 3 steps. So the first thing is to understand the difference between goals and purpose. Because often we think the goal is our purpose. And so we'll set a 3-year goal. We'll say that's our purpose. Then we finalize the goal and everything's
Yeah.
gone. There's no more
Yeah.
energy.
Yeah.
So the goal is finite. The purpose is infinite. It is beyond us. It's beyond our lifetime. It's something that we will strive to achieve. So it is my purpose, my personal mission to bring humanity back in the workplace so that we have more well-being and resilience, and we can bring that back to our people, and we can raise children that will bring more of this. I want to see us thrive as a society, and that is my contribution to the world. I cannot achieve that in a year, 3 years, 5 years. I will be working towards this my entire life. That is a purpose. And then a goal is I'm going to jump on a live every Wednesday for the next year.
Mhm.
So that would be more a habit, but it could be set up as a goal. Or it could be I'm going to reach X number of people in the next year and help them build up the practices that achieves bringing humanity back in the workplace.
Mhm.
That is a goal that contributes to my purpose. So when you align your goals, and that can be your professional goals or your personal goals with your purpose, now you've got alignment.
Mhm.
And so you're doing more of the things every day that bring you that kind of energy.
Mhm.
And you're not so much relying on just the intrinsic motivation to get it done.
Mhm.
Make sense to you?
Yeah, it does. And I've noticed in clarifying those pieces for myself, the more in alignment you get with your goals and your purpose, the easier that flow is. It's not, sometimes it can feel like you're swimming upstream, but as soon as you get more alignment, it's
There's a lot more ease. You get into flow states easier. Yeah. So step number 2 is to know what your purpose is. Right now, we asked a question on Monday about do you have your why statement, and what is it? And what's interesting about purpose statements, why statements, whatever you want to call it, different people call it different things. We call it internally our pursuable goals statement. It's not something that you chase down, it's something that you create it's an internal exploration. So it's not you going outside of yourself seeking your why. It's more of a personal journey of exploration and introspection to find that and create that purpose. And so for some people, they're just kind of naturally already connected with their purpose, and they can start putting words to it, and they can work through putting together a purpose statement within a matter of weeks or maybe a couple of months. And for other people that I've worked with, they first had to connect to a feeling of purpose and starting to bring in the pieces before they could actually like write down a sentence to represent that.
Mhm.
And that was a long journey, a
Mhm.
year-long journey, or a year and a half long journey. So it's something that they worked on in the background. And as they were getting to know themselves, they were able to put that together. That's a creative process. For some people, it was a lot of journaling. For others, it was painting or creating something that was representative that allowed them to do that exploration, and then to put words to it once they had their final, like, here's all the pieces, how would I put that into a sentence?
Yeah.
Where are you at with your purpose statement?
Well, I'm kind of in transition because my purpose has shifted over the last few years. So I'm just kind of what was my purpose statement and then like what I'm shifting towards, kind of trying to bring those in alignment right now. So I think with COVID and everything, it shifted a lot of people's
Mhm.
purpose. Um, and there's a big, some people like there wasn't a lot of feedback on yesterday's question. So it made me kind of reflect and like, okay, people might be in this kind of transitional phase of what was and what is now because they're changed. A lot of
Yeah.
things changed.
So if you're
I think you froze up on us there, Melissa. Yeah, you had frozen up on us.
All right. And I'm back now.
And you're back, yeah. Yeah. She will be back momentarily. And you're back.
And I'm back. It's so fun. So you were just talking about the fact that it's been evolving for you and you're in the midst of transition. So I'm curious, who is listening? Are you going through something similar? And if so, drop something in the chat. I'm in the process of transitioning. I resonate with Kelsey Ann, or any thoughts that you have about this. I'm very, very curious.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And for me, the process has been more about refinement. So I have been clear on that for a long time. I would say probably 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been getting clearer and clearer and crisper and clearer and more defined over time. And then what is now happening as I revisit my purpose statement is I might change a word. I might update a little piece, or just really just these minuscule tweaks. And why I do them is because it shifts how I feel. So I'm always adjusting so that I get the most energy out of that purpose statement. It's about how I feel about that purpose statement. So as you're revising your purpose statement, think about your feelings, connect.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where emotional intelligence come into play, right? Think about how this feels for you. What is that purpose statement doing for you? Because it's more for you than it is about others. So what is it doing for you? And are those the right words? Do you need to adjust anything? And you can play with words and change a word, see how that feels. So what brings most excitement to you? What feels uplifting? What feels easy? What feels like all of a sudden you're not going upstream, but you're going with the current? And then step number 3, once you reconnect to that purpose, is to anchor to that purpose, to bring that into every day. So we tend to do that kind of introspective work, write it down, make it pretty. We might even make a vision board around it. And then we fold it up, we put it away, and we go back to life as normal.
Mm-hmm.
And keep burning out.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So the third step is anchoring to that purpose. And what I would suggest, there's many different ways of doing that, but think about how you could bring something into your life that would represent that purpose, that you could engage with on the daily. So that could be what's the word? A symbol or a memento of some sort, a physical something. It could be an action. It could be some kind of practice that you engage in. For example, if you're someone who does meditation or yoga or breathing exercises in the moment, you might be breathing in that statement and breathing out, like kind of easing into it.
Mm-hmm.
Or might be activating it in some way. So maybe this is about, so I'm just going to pull things at random. Maybe this is about smiling. This is about helping the world to smile. And that every morning you do something with your family so that we can smile together.
Mm-hmm.
So it's starting off the day with already engaging with your purpose in some way. And this is going to look different for every person.
Mm-hmm.
So again, that's an internal exploration of what works for you.
Mhm.
So for me, it is, it's my coffee. Engaging. The first thing I do is engage with my people. The first thing I do is check in with my people.
Mhm.
How are you feeling? This is exactly the
Yeah.
conversation we had first thing this morning.
Yeah.
How are you feeling? I'm hearing something in your voice.
Yeah.
What's going on for you?
Yeah.
And so just starting with that human first.
Mhm.
And when I'm not doing that, when I'm so stressed and I've put my purpose aside and I'm solely engaging with my intrinsic motivation, I have bad days.
Mhm.
I am exhausted. I have nothing left for anyone. I feel like I'm, I will say things like I'm just on the floor. I have nothing left. I'm not
Mhm.
functional anymore. Um, because I didn't start with that focus.
Mhm.
What's coming up for you, Kelsey Ann, as you're thinking about that? Is there a practice that you're engaging with or trying to engage with, or anything that you've noticed?
Um, I didn't realize it at the time, but I do kind of, it's not breathing, but it's kind of like a mantra that I say, and poses, power poses is what I call them, on the daily to tap into that. And I guess now I realize that's what I'm doing. But now I'm also going to use that opportunity to kind of really tap into my purpose. And I feel like it's going to be that much more now that, again, bringing it more into alignment and using that time, that I'm here for something bigger than what I can actually achieve.
Yeah.
I know that.
And being intentional. So this is beautiful. If you already have a practice, catch it with the existing practice. It is much easier to stack habits than to create a new one.
Mhm.
So take the habit that you're already doing and stack on that.
Mhm.
All right. So the 3 steps, like understanding the difference between a goal and purpose, that is number 1. And it's like not even just knowing it and then forgetting about it, but it's like keep reminding yourself
Yeah.
of the difference. Am I engaging with a goal, or am I engaging with a purpose? And are these things in alignment right now?
Mhm.
So I'm not saying don't have goals. I'm saying know that purpose is different than your goal, and make sure your goal is aligned with your purpose.
Yeah.
Know what your purpose is. And purpose is something that you keep creating and uncovering. So don't be afraid of that exploration, that
Mhm.
connecting. And you don't have to go on a week-long retreat. Like some people are like, I'm too busy. I can't stop to think about purpose. Well, what about that drive into work? Instead of like making a phone call or listening to a podcast, maybe today you're taking quiet time and you're tuning into yourself instead of tuning out
Mhm.
into the world,
To
right?
the distractions.
You're gonna have that 15-minute drive anyway.
Mhm.
So there's an opportunity. You're gonna stand in line at the bank, or you're going to, so when you feel like, oh, I'm stuck here and I can't do anything, well, guess what? You can do this.
Yeah, it's true.
It can also be having conversations with your kids or with your family and making it about this so that you can kind of uncover it.
Mhm.
And the third part is anchoring to your purpose. So getting clearer on the purpose and then bringing it into your everyday so that you're a lot more intentional about how you go through your day and bringing it in. It will be harder when there's stress. When
Mhm.
there's stress is when you need it the most.
Yeah.
So reconnecting, a small little practice, something that you can do, an action. So now we're like connecting the action with the feeling and the thoughts, right? So we're not just
Mhm.
having feeling and thoughts, but we're putting into practice right away.
Yeah.
Every And though that can be done in small moments, again, that doesn't have to take a lot of time.
No,
All right. Well, this was a fun live.
it was.
I was like, what do I want to say about this? I don't know. I had lots to say.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you for tuning in. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to hear what you're taking away from this training and what was important to you.
Yeah, I know I'm taking away some thoughts and just,
Yeah, what are you taking away from today?
I'm going to be thinking more about my purpose and, trying to, get more clarity on that because I know it will help me move forward and then more in alignment. So yeah, that's what I'm taking moving forward.
Yeah. And thinking about purpose brings more meaning to mundane activities, to
Mhm.
your everyday life, to, it's one thing to do a task. It's another thing to do a task, knowing that it's part of a bigger picture impact.
Mhm.
Feels very different.
Yeah.
And if you've been feeling kind of aimless or, feeling that lack of meaning, this is the perfect time to
Mhm.
dive into this reflection. I have lots of resources on this. I do a ton of work when it comes to purpose. It is connected to the rest. And, you can also think about how your purpose connects to how you show up as a leader. And sometimes it doesn't even have to be 100% connected to your role. So I just had a big breakthrough moment, not me, my client had a breakthrough moment with me, I guess. And the breakthrough was, so even if it's not part of my role, I can still bring of myself and my purpose to how I'm showing up every day as a leader.
Mhm.
So you don't have to wait for the environment to be perfect to bring out the purpose. You can be it every day. And those are the leaders that we want to follow.
Absolutely.
So I hope you're taking lots from it. If you want to talk to me about this, send me a DM. I'm open invitation this week. Send me a DM if you want to talk about your purpose. If you want to shoot me any questions, want feedback on anything, send me a DM. I'd love to chat. All right. Have a great day, everyone. Happy Wednesday.
Bye.
Bye.